Hello, Ohio State fans. Thanks for joining me on this late night after the Buckeyes get another Big Ten win, 54-7 in Bloomington against Indiana. I'm Patrick Murphy with 247 Sports, going solo tonight as we're trying to get things done and get out of here as early as possible. So letting Steve Helwagen and Dave Biddle get other stuff done tonight. We're going to talk the Buckeyes game real quick here. You watched it. It was a controlling performance from the Buckeyes from start to finish. Ohio State goes out and begins the game with a touchdown drive. They scored on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it looks like, straight drives, which took their total of consecutive touchdown drives, not including ones where they kneeled it or the end of the half, to 19 before they finally had to punt. They also kicked a field goal today. Big game all around for the offense, 539 yards against an Indiana defense that hasn't been great, but has certainly been better than the Hoosiers offense. CJ Stroud, another big day, 21 of 28, 266 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had one throw to Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think it was in the first half, that he just put in a tight window. I mean, probably his best throw of his young career. If you haven't gone back and watched that one again, I recommend doing that. It was quite the impressive throw, but he made a number of those type of throws tonight. He's just proving week in and week out now that he's healthy, that he is the real deal for the Buckeyes. Travion Henderson as well, 9 carries, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had a catch for 14 yards and a score. He was impressive with the way he broke tackles. We've seen him make guys miss. We've seen him do a lot of different things. Tonight was fighting through tackles, fighting through guys at the line of scrimmage to get into the end zone. So pretty impressive stuff from him. The receivers do their things as well. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 6 for 99. Garrett Wilson, 5 for 59. Jeremy Ruckert, the tight end, 5 for 47. He had 2 touchdowns, also had one called back on a legal man downfield penalty, I think it was. Marvin Harrison came into the game, 2 for 34. Emeka Egbuka, 2 for 29. And Chris Olave, bringing up the rear there, 2 for 24 and a touchdown. He actually moved into a tie for second all time on Ohio State's receiving touchdown list with Devin Smith. Now only 4 back of the record. I believe David Boston's the one that has that for the Buckeyes. So probably something Chris Olave is going to own on his own before his Ohio State career is done, I should say. So the Ohio State defense did exactly what offense did exactly what we expected them to do, come out and just continue to roll. This offense has been on fire all year. I mean, even in the Oregon loss, the offense still played pretty well. And it's the number one offense in a lot of statistical categories this season in the country. If they're not number one, they're usually pretty close, top 10-ish. So this offense is not something I think we're worried about. It will, and I've said this a couple times now, it will be surprising to me if they run into a defense no matter when in the season that can stop or even really slow down this offense. I think that Ryan Day and the weapons that CJ Stroud has and the way that they're playing, they talked a lot about confidence in the post game. I think that's a huge thing for this group right now. And you're seeing that, it'll surprise me if any team, whether it's even Georgia, who has one of the best offense or defenses in the country, if they were end up to facing the Buckeyes, if they were able to really slow this group down, there's so much you have to defend. Defensively is where we've had questions about the Buckeyes so far this year, and it's gotten better and better each week. We obviously know what happened after the Oregon game, the changes the staff made, and I think you're really starting to see that at work. 128 yards for Indiana's offense. Now, Indiana's offense hasn't been good this year. This isn't the group that we saw last year. There's been a lot of injuries. Quarterback Michael Penix, who hasn't been as good as he was last year, he was hurt, didn't play. Jack Tuttle did play, started last week against Michigan State, wasn't good tonight either. Also got hurt again, only threw 7 passes, 4 for 7 for 41 yards. He had that touchdown at the beginning of the game. They brought in the freshman Donovan McCulley, who was 1 for 6 for 30 yards, but did run for, I guess he only had 9 yards rushing. So not a great performance by really any of these guys. The defense held Ty Freifogel, who destroyed them last year, to 1 catch for 30 yards. That was right at the beginning of the third quarter. The one guy who did kind of get going was Peyton Hendershot, the tight end. He had 5 catches for 35 yards and a touchdown. I think that's probably the area that I'm still the most concerned with the Buckeyes is plays over the middle. We've seen that these cornerbacks have gotten better and started to not completely shut guys down, though I do think Denzel Burke has the ability to do that, but at least limit what teams are able to do on the outside. And we'll see as they play better offenses for sure. But teams have been able to attack over the middle, the linebackers and the safeties. You saw that on that opening drive for Indiana. And, obviously that was a scripted drive, but right down the field. They use Peyton Hendershot quite a bit. He scores the touchdown. So that is a concerning thing for me. But what I did like, and I think this is something we've seen a few times this year, is the Buckeyes making defensive adjustments. And that's something that didn't obviously happen against Oregon. Oregon was able to score more or less the same touchdown multiple times with that playoff tackle, the running play. But so far since then, and this is credit to not just Matt Barnes, who obviously is the play caller, is now on the sidelines, but I do think he deserves a lot of credit. But this whole defensive staff has done a really good job of identifying what the offense is doing to attack them and then figuring out how to shut that down. You saw it again today. Now, I don't want to go too crazy about this here. Like I said before, Indiana's offense, not the team it was last year. A lot of guys weren't out there. Guys haven't played up to the abilities that they played last year. So, it's great that Ohio State held them to 128 yards, but better offenses are to come. And we'll really start to learn more about this Ohio State defense in the coming weeks. What is somewhat unfortunate is we're starting to see that maybe some of these Big Ten teams that we thought would really test Ohio State maybe aren't as good as they were ranked, as some of us thought. Penn State now lost back-to-back weeks. 2 weeks ago, it was against Iowa. This week, or the first loss, sorry, I think that was 3 weeks ago, was against Iowa. Now this week, they lose at home to Illinois in this crazy 9 overtime game. And that's a whole nother conversation about college football's new overtime rule. But the Nittany Lions are not the team maybe we thought they were. And obviously coming to Columbus, off the back of a couple of losses. So it'll be interesting to see how that game is. I'm sure Penn State will be fired up for it. And Purdue lost today. That was another team that was ranked in the top 25. Michigan gets a win, but I still don't think they look great. Michigan State doesn't really scare anybody at this point. So I'm not sure if we're going to know maybe until, if Ohio State is able to make the college football playoff, how good this defense really is. And even the offense. I mean, I think the offense is pretty clearly great, but I don't know if they'll face a defense that can shut them down or even attempt to until they get to that point. We've seen that before when the Big Ten's had down years. We just thought that this was a year where it wasn't the case and the Big Ten was playing well. So it's going to be very interesting to watch these next couple weeks. But I thought the Buckeyes did a great job tonight of carrying that momentum over from these last few weeks and the wins against Rutgers and Maryland. You have that off week and you kind of wonder if that was the right time for that. Obviously, guys can get some rest, but does that slow down the momentum? Clearly, it does not. This team just came out fired up. You saw it in the pregame warmups. If you were here, if they showed any of that on TV, these guys were ready to go. Credit to Ryan Day and the staff for keeping them going with the off week. So I covered basically all the things I wanted to do. It's kind of we're at the point of, Ohio State is just rolling. So there's not a ton new to talk about each week, but obviously it's a big deal for the Buckeyes and what they've been able to accomplish. We got asked here about why we aren't seeing Julian Fleming. He's a guy who's dealt with some injuries. Obviously this past offseason had surgery, but is still, I believe he was out for the last game. So, I think they're just being careful with him. He was obviously playing some early in the year and, it's a loaded receiver room. I think they want him to get fully healthy. You saw other guys come in, and Emeka Egbuka, Marvin Harrison, obviously Jackson Smith and Jigba is now a starter. So I think they're just waiting to get him fully healthy, ready to go and, not risking him if they don't need to. So, it's that. I think that's just a simple situation there. Obviously today without Master Teague, without Marcus Crowley, the running backs were a little banged up, but no issues there. Travion Henderson, Mayan Williams, Evan Pryor all get the job done. So all in all, it's a good performance from the Buckeyes. I don't think you can have very many complaints. Like I said, the big things for me, the defense making those adjustments and this offense keeping rolling, the whole team really keep rolling. So we're going to sign off. We're going to have plenty more stuff here on Bucknuts and 247 Sports. Check us out. We've already got Steve's recap up. He'll have Ryan Day's post-game press conference up shortly. And Dave Biddle for our VIP members has what we learned. Always good stuff there from Dave. So thank you guys for tuning in for this one. I know it's kind of a late night. We just hit midnight here Eastern time. So I appreciate everyone that tuned in to watch this. Stay tuned to Bucknuts and 247 Sports. And I appreciate it, everybody. Again, I'm Patrick Murphy, and we will talk to you later this week. Thanks, guys.